Lisa Guillaume, the CMO of Bluewave Technology Group. We're a premier technology advisory firm, and we're focused on helping our enterprise clients with managing their entire technology lifecycle, starting with identifying what services they currently have, breaking down organizational silos for solutioning, and also ensuring that the right services are sourced, deployed, and providing the outcomes that are anticipated. With me today, I have Marco Spremo, who's VP of Sales Strategy at Bluewave. He's also our expert on one of our key practice areas, which is technology assessments. So for the next 5 minutes or so, we are going to dive into more details on the technology assessment from Bluewave. So welcome, Marco. So Marco, what is the Bluewave technology assessment and how can it help our clients?
So the Bluewave technology assessment was something that was created now 2 decades ago, started out as a traditional telecom audit. And really within assessment, it's grown to a much greater thing where you only know your network at one point in time, right? So when you take a snapshot of it, time your contracts were signed, and then you're negotiating the services, you're budgeting for them, and then you get them installed. But that's where the network gets stabilized, but all the other work has to be managed from contracts, services. And most companies just don't have an ongoing rigorous process around monitoring those invoices, the services, the utilization rates, and optimizing them. And things change, right? The network is never stable.
Yeah.
Rates tend to go down. Technologies are constantly changing. People managing these services come and go. Locations are added and moved. Acquisitions occur. There's just all kinds of opportunities around optimization. But in most companies, clients just don't have the time or the resources to get that visibility. And that's really where we can help. We perform a very detailed, in-depth analysis of all of your existing telecom and technology services, identifying areas of billing discrepancies, services that may be obsolete. In some cases, they may be necessary, but in some cases, there are new technologies to migrate. One of the things we see now is, migration to UCaaS and MPLS to SD-WAN. And in many cases, I call it the micro versus macro view. Clients know their services better than anybody. They know the network better than anybody, but our, wherewithal and knowledge gives them the macro view. And so in many cases, clients are overpaying for services. And so we understand, how and where that technology can help the business meet the goals. And it will help identify the cost drivers, to help the improvement across the technology stack and the solutions that clients are looking at.
We're often asked, when is the best in time to do a technology assessment? So Marco, based on your experience, working with clients over the past 20 years across a spectrum of industries, can you explain in more detail why the time is now? Why is it almost every time a good time to do an assessment?
Well, I think it goes back to what we talked about real briefly is no network is completely static, right? It's dynamic, it's moving. And because of the way we started this thing back 20 years ago, coming from the VAR and systems integration background, we know that things are not, stagnant. They are always going to be changing. And, if someone says I'm doing something in 12 months, well, we're already possibly behind, the curve because depending on the various technologies, you need that time. And so providing that full visibility, right? It makes sense to do that assessment for many reasons. One is to develop a strategic technology roadmap, right? Two, when you're looking at TCO ROI, it's developing that budget and process. And what we see a lot of times in the TCO ROI analyses is they're usually not accurate in the way they're built out because they're not looking at all the different nuanced items that are there. Three, as a precursor to standing up a telecom expense management system, or doing TEM outsourcing, that is another thing that we see. Without having inventory and invoices of services and contracts, you can't manage those services. You can't manage what you can't see. And before you're making any technology or communications, transformation project, you really have to have that visibility and understanding of the knowledge of all the different things that are tying together. It used to be just voice and data, and they were very separate. Now everything is intertwined. And I'd say the last piece, and that we always guarantee, is we guarantee, it's savings, right? We're able to, in many cases, fund new technologies because we're uncovering ways of opportunity of optimization. We're uncovering billing issues, and we're looking at different ways that services that may no longer be needed. We see that all the time, and we're in many cases helping fund those new technology migrations.
So Marco, what does the engagement entail? What do we require of our customers? What is our process? How much time is required?
Really all we require is on the front end is we need the invoices or access to the invoices, whether they're electronic PDF files or if they're login access to a portal. And then we have a weekly conversation just to identify what we found. We get signed LOAs to have access to get information from the carriers. And then at the end, we need approval from what we provide in what we call the summary of findings report. So not only are we creating that information of your services, your invoices, your contracts, we're providing optimization recommendations for consolidation of invoices, correction of billing issues, elimination of services that may not be needed. And then we'll execute those and implement them to ensure that you're actually getting the savings and optimization. And that visibility develops the roadmap to make that migration to a new or potentially new technology that an organization is.
So we often position the technology assessment as a no-brainer, and we're not trying to be flippant because it really is a no-brainer for our clients because of the savings that we typically find. So can you go into a little bit more detail and explain what you've seen over the years?
Yeah, so we've been doing this now for 2 decades. I think again, as I mentioned, typically start out with what we call a traditional audit, and that's more what we call stare and compare. Are you getting billing? This is really developing a full inventory and blueprint of what an organization has, and then helping them, identify what they currently have to then meet their goals and optimize their contracts, their rates, and really do process improvement as well. It's a fixed cost. So, the traditional stare and compare were contingency, but the problem is clients don't know how much they're going to pay. I'd say, I'm not going to pay anything.
Right.
Next, you're cutting a check for $1 million. Here, it's fixed cost. We flat rate it, so we cap it, and then we guarantee a 2x ROI. But that's not what we've been seeing over the course of the 20 years. Across our clients over the last 20 years, we've been averaging an ROI of 12.4x. So for every dollar we've identified, we're giving client back $12.4. And one of the most recent summary of findings that we just completed for a medical device company was we identified $700,000 in annual savings. And that client was one of those clients, as we had conversation with them, they had a 10 platform, they had a team, they had processes, and they didn't believe we were going to be able to find anything. And we were still able to, identify $700,000 of annual optimization. And that's not even in taking, the optimization rates of migrating to a new technology. That's just on what they currently have. So, in 20 years, I'm still waiting, for the first client that we're not able to do something for, because one day it will happen. But the statistic says that, we're very confident. We know that we're going to be able to do the same thing for all of our clients as we do these. It's a matter of time. Clients just don't have the time, and they don't have that visibility to take the time to do this.
Well, thanks, Marco. This has been incredible to hear all the details on our tech assessment, and we're hoping that we can engage more clients to find money so they can invest in new projects. Any final words, Marco?
I just encourage anybody, if you have not done a technology assessment or utilized a third party in the last 12 to 18 months to obtain this visibility, I would strongly suggest it. Secondly, if you are looking to make any migration for any technology, whether it's existing to existing or it's new, in the next 6 to 18 months, I would strongly encourage to have a conversation of just the process of how we do it and the why and what makes it different to ensure that new migration, whether it be to a new technology, whether it be to PEM, a life cycle management, voice, anything that's there that you're looking at, would love to have that conversation, because what we do know is that when we do this, it does help clients not only get cost optimization, but it makes for a more successful project migration and integration implementation, utilizing the information that we build. So I look forward to having any conversations. Appreciate the time as always.